Life may be seen as a process of creating an image and realizing it. If so, if we don't have a good image, we don't know what to do. So, having a role model would be important. At least in my case, I realized that when I was probably 8 years old, I read something about Thomas Alva Edison and read the sentence that the perspiration is 99% and inspiration is 1% to achieve the invention in his case. So that gave me an image of what it takes to be a good inventor. And I was interested in science in that time period. So that mantra, 99% and 1% perspiration versus inspiration, made sense to me that we need to be determined. Later in life, I found Daisetsu Suzuki, who was known to be the Zen scholar, very famous person who is considered to be the person who brought Zen from East to the West. And he became my role model. That was about when I was 30 years old, even. Until then, I wasn't stimulated by many, except there's some person like Konosuke Matsushita who was known to be the management guru. So I went into the business direction. And by that time, I was out of the nuclear business. I was doing the safety analysis. My engineering and the scientific interest made me to move in that direction, but then wanted to switch because there are so many bright people. I decided to move into the business and got MBA and did the corporate strategy and learned about management. And Konosuke Matsushita was one of the role model I had. And he was founder of Panasonic. He had the sense of wisdom and compassion and considered the guru of management in Japan. And like I said, I met Daisetsu Suzuki. In there, I found him very attractive because of what he had accomplished, and I didn't know much about the Zen, so I was curious guy to look into Zen, what it is, and then realized that the Daisetsu Suzuki had such a following, people respecting him, and I couldn't figure out and what made him to be so respectful. So I studied his words, books a lot because Zen was very mysterious. So those are a few examples that I used as a role model. And over time, I feel I gained skills in certain part of the engineering process, the scientific process, management process, and also into the spirituality. So there are like 3, 4, 5, maybe 3 or 4 important references I had, and I study a lot for each of them. So when I think about the mastery or to be the master of destiny, I think it's very important to have an image. And the imagination is power. Without a good image, you cannot go against the battle to be the master. And going against the battle is about the creativity. But the creativity is also related to our habitual pattern that if we have a bad habit, a negative habit, it doesn't help us. If we have a good habit, then creativity may come more naturally. And the wisdom is the foundation of such creativity, I think. That only when you have calm and quiet mind, go deep into your consciousness, as if to get to the root of our being, comes out a wisdom. So the process of Shila Samadhi Panya that I often talked about, right conduct, have a calm and quiet mind, will come up with a wisdom, is a good process, and it has to be repeated. The repetition is mother of skills to change the habitual pattern. And again, to go through that, we want to have a strong passion, interest. And that also ties to the image of what we want to accomplish. Over time, looking back the 70-some years of my life, there are many good references or the persons that I've read through books and more recently through the website, YouTube, things of that nature. I said at the beginning, life is a process of creating an image and realizing it. When you have a difficulty in life, where do you go? You can call your friend or go drink, and maybe some people may do drug because there's no way out. Or you may have a good reference, that image, the person who has gone through the difficulties with perspiration 99% and inspiration 1%. Creative way to go break the barrier. I think that's pretty much the essence of I can see. And what I see there is the connection of a mixture of those references fit together in some way or the other, probably like synthesized. As much as I change, the environment changed, that I need to respond. And that process required more energy, creative thought, imagination. I may have gone through some blockages here and there. Some are very big, some are small, but living life, by definition, is going through those battles to be creative, have wisdom. So more we gain confidence, that will give us a sense of how we may go about living our life. The life will give you every opportunity. As Daisetsu Suzuki said, that Zen life is like going through a thorny road. It's not just Zen life. Life in general may be like that. Okay, maybe you can choose the path which is very easy and not challenging, but more secure. Even if that's the case, there may be a difficulty. So I believe by definition, we have all the possible problems that may come because living being is going against the law of entropy. Everything left alone, you cannot secure it. If you don't use the muscle, you weaken it. We know it in the case of the memory, The memory is like a habit. If you don't reinforce your habit, it weakens. I think Ebbinghaus is the name of the person who said something like the memory would exponentially reduce if you don't repeat it and reinforce it. So that's the beginning of inspiration approach, having a reference, reinforcing, practicing, going through PAPS, PDCA, or Plan to Check Act process, or Shila Samadhi Panya, and gain some confidence, build up the skill. Repetition is mother of success, and move on. And then there's a new challenge because once you move on, there's another mountain to climb. And there are so many different ways to climb up the mountain, so you need to be able to choose different models and ideas or techniques. that you can apply in each case. So more you are equipped to those good habitual pattern of addressing the problem in a creative and wise manner, you can handle the situation better and be the master of your destiny. I think about Darwin. Somewhere I read, or I saw the picture, maybe National Geographic, there was the orchid, maybe Madagascar or somewhere like that. And there was the orchid with the flower, and some portion of that orchid has very deep, kind of like a hole stuff, like a pipe-like thing, like a trumpet-like shape. And that is in such a long distance between the opening to the core of it, at the bottom of it. And then Darwin said something like, there must be a moth who would be attracted to that flower. And they found those moths afterward. I remember sailing in the Pacific Ocean, and then flying fish came into the boat and we ate it. And they fly. And I thought about just the case of Darwin. How can they fly? Because what happened, I could imagine, is that those are the fish chased after a big fish as prey, and they run and swim, and every now and then jump off the wave and could escape. And they figured out somehow over time, generation after generation, this is one way to escape from the prey, being the prey. It's a real effort, generation by generation, to develop the habit. In our lifetime, we do our own developing the habit pattern to be successful living a life. And this process has been going on generation after generation. We get the benefit of all those in the past, and they left the footprint, so to speak, in the books and the things that are available that was manifested from those people's creativity. But the life doesn't end. Life gives you more challenges. So what? You have enough. You can stay quiet and drink beer or whatever and just sit and watch TV. Life won't be happy. Our life won't be fulfilled. I think that's in our genes, DNA somewhere, that the DNA is making longer, the strain or whatever the chain, it's getting longer and longer as you progress. So you should be able to be versatile to face more difficulties to express what we can be. So the image that we can create as individual may have already embedded in the DNA that the living being is connected to that image or the process of manifesting what is meaningful and right. And that's when I link to the Zen and the spiritual issue, but also connected to science, which basically says if you can imagine it, you can make it. And that is connected to knowing yourself, know thyself, what you can and cannot do, and what habit and how you can change on one end. The other end is thy will be done. That's the law of universe or the nature. It's already embedded in our DNA. Whatever you call it, spirituality or science, I don't care. But there's some force, life force, will of the universe, so to speak, is trying to be or manifesting within ourselves. So we reach out to the cause or the root of our being and connect to the challenges we have. There must be a way. And the human has a limitation, just like the fish couldn't fly. But by the virtue, the way of practicing it sincerely and truthfully and connected to the root of our being, there's a way out. And you find the destiny. You find you are the master of your destiny because you are in line to that law of nature, or thy will be done. Within us, you can call it it's God or the superpower will of the universe. By definition, coming out of the dust of the universe to be like this and be able to speak and communicate and imagine and manifest whatever can be done, how can it not be a miracle source, the energy that we may have inside of us? My image is like that. It's fun to imagine and be empowered to challenge against the difficulties again and again and again. Life will put you into a difficult situation. There's no end of it because it's life. Hopefully, we master the basic skill connecting to our root of the being and not lose aspiration or desire to live or anything, but just to step at a time. Maybe 2 steps and every now and then go 1 step backward, even 3 steps backward, but then change the direction and climb up the mountain continuously. It's a wonderful journey that we can take. Maybe because of the difficulties and impossibilities that we face. But somewhere inside of us, we have that source of that energy. And hope you have fun in living your life as much as I would like to do that. Thank you.